Stephen, thanks for joining us here on CBN News. First of all, tell us why you wrote this book.
Well, Chris, I was encouraged to write it both by the people in Iraq that I worked with over this period of time, but also by many of the people in the West, in the U.S. That we had spoken with and testified in front of. They thought the story was important enough and there was enough to it that it was important that it be put down in a contemporaneous fashion in a situation where Western readers could access it and understand it. So it was really encouraged both by the church and the people in Iraq that I worked with, as well as the people that supported our cause in the U.S.
Yeah, how would you describe the situation of Christians here in the Middle East?
Well, as you well know, Chris, it's tenuous and becoming more so. It's difficult to look at a situation anywhere in the Middle East where the situation of the Christians is improving. And that's one of the things we try to get at in the book. It's not completely just about Iraq. We talk about people in the diaspora from the ISIS wars, the Iraqi Christians that had fled and ended up in Turkey and Lebanon and other places. We also talk about the situation of Christians in Egypt. So it's kind of a bit across the entire region, although it is mainly focused on Iraq. But I think the situation in Iraq is certainly more acute simply because the numbers have been driven down so drastically. But the situation across the board is a difficult one, and we take that head on in the book.
Yeah, you know, the title says a disappearing people. What do you see as the future of Christians here in the Middle East?
Well, there's one of two ways to look at it. Either the Christians that are left there now are a remnant group from which a rebirth can begin, provided proper help and changes, quite frankly, in behaviors and politics by other groups on the ground. But the other route that is possible is that we're looking at the end. That this is a slow motion end to nothing left besides a museum caretaker type people. And you know the situation now in Jerusalem and Bethlehem. This is essentially what we're looking at there now. And Iraq is looking at that situation if the trajectory does not change.
Yeah, well, it's a tragic story. What can be done by the church in the West and other places in the world, and also by decision makers in the West as well, to help this disappearing people?
Well, by the churches in the West, the most important thing that they can do is to continue to pay attention. There's a real fear amongst the Christians in Iraq that in the current situation worldwide, that their plight will be forgotten. But for them, you know, they're right now in a situation where it's a pandemic that came on top of a civil collapse, that came on top of a genocide. And it's easy for their plight to get lost in the chaos of everything that's happening, both there and around the world. So they really pray and hope that people in the West and in the churches in particular will not forget them. And hopefully this book can help keep that flame alive for them. In terms of what governments can do, you know, we have seen a real sea change in the last year or so with the current administration on how to deal with these refugee and displaced populations. There are a lot of positive things that have been happening in this last year, but it's a big ship to turn around. The institutional aid paradigm is something that in many ways is quite broken. With help not really affecting the people that you would hope it to. Again, it's another topic that we go into in some detail in the book.
Yeah. Final question, Stephen. How can people pray for the Christians here in the Middle East?
Pray that they keep their courage. You know, the Christians that are left are tough people. And I'm sure you've seen this, Chris, but to pray that they can keep their courage and that they can know that there are Christians in the rest of the world that are in solidarity with them and have not forgotten them. This means a tremendous amount to them.
Yeah. Well, Stephen, thanks for really highlighting the plight of Christians here in the Middle East. It's a very important topic for the church around the world to understand. Thank you.